Hey now. Hey guys, Manfree here. A couple of the things from the new MJ stream and video that the team released. Just a couple of things that I've noticed from reading on the Discord or from MJ stream specifically. There's going to be another video coming out. We're not 100% sure when that is. There is playtesting that is going to happen in the next month or two, according to MJ, that he had originally said early summer, but it seems like that's been delayed. So we're looking at another 30 to 60 days before that happens. In the way he said it, he just wasn't sure. So yeah, delay there. The next stream, he said he was hoping it would be a little bit longer and that there would be some more information about playtesting. He also had the team gathering developer questions, and those are going to be available after the design team has had a chance to kind of look at them and analyze them and give a substantive answer back from what we understand. A couple of things just from previous videos that were discussed that we didn't see, the top 10-ish. So that's not anything that we've seen. I think that's probably going to coincide with newsletters and maybe some of the additional work they're trying to do. I guess they want to maintain their heads down and heavy development pace right now, because as soon as they start adding that extra stuff in, it's going to cost them development time. So that's understandable stuff. And then I'd also like to talk a little bit about the game loops and just the systems again. I know I've mentioned this before, but just added a little bit of extra context in this next slide. So on the next slide, we have the different systems. The ones on the left have just been confirmed. So if you've watched the previous videos or you're going to see this current video now, these systems are all available. They're going to be in the game from what we know. The ones in the middle are things that have been discussed previously, but we really haven't seen anything on them since the new refab of the game, since the studification. So we'll be going from there. And then the ones on the right, just based on the clips that we've seen, appear to be no longer a part of the game. So limbs, blood, ability builders, and shifting islands, they all seem to be cut. Now, could some part of them be added because they've done a lot of work on the different systems and the implementations of these? I'm sure they could happen, but yeah, from what we've seen, they don't appear to be available. You know, gonna hold a small caveat that they could change this stuff at any time. So yeah, just trying to give everybody a little bit of a foundation that we can all kind of go off of. On this next slide, I just wanted to cover maybe a slight retraction, not 100% sure. But I noticed that from the previous video, I kind of called out the 8v8. And then if you saw the timeline earlier, I left that. I think it's okay for right now. It gives people kind of an idea. But I noticed that one of the icons that I had pointed to looks to be like a focus or an ally selection. So I think from what we saw, we actually only saw 7-man groups. Based on that, I don't think it really matters too much. That's just one less person. I think finding 8 people was always kind of hard anyway. So, 7 is maybe fine. I don't think it really matters too much. But I just wanted to call this out because I saw it, and we'll go ahead and move on. So Travis shared a bunch of really interesting information in the Discord server, so I just wanted to call some of that out here. And then I created this matrix so that you could kind of get an idea. It seems like we're going to have a basic melee tank or damage dealer. We're going to have an archer, and we're going to have a warlock, which is a ranged damage dealer. We're going to have healers or ranged healers, and then assassins and performers. I've listed out the different resources that they use. There kind of is that spender and builder spender relationship going on with a lot of these. Some of them build another resource that you spend. Some you have the resource and it just builds passively, like mana or determination or focus, and then you spend that. So I don't know, there's a little bit of play between these. The most in-depth one that we saw was assassins. They have determination, pips, and life. The pips are really just 1,000 blocks of determination, but I'm not 100% sure how those all work together. And then they actually, according to some of the commentary, spend life if they no longer have determination for certain abilities. So kind of interesting there. Just wanted to kind of give a basic breakdown if you want to look at this and get a better idea of where the game is headed. So looking next, we have the basic UI for everything. There is a stylized look for each of the different realms. I think you'll notice that there's slight differences in the versions. So I actually think that there were updates going on between the different clips. One example that I can point to is that the different tabs, global and system, are available in one text box, but not the others. And then also, if you look at the TDD box, there is an up arrow and a down arrow, but that's not available in the Midgardian or Viking one. And it's also not available in the Arthurian one. So yeah, just interesting. But yeah, wanted to call this out, just basic GUI stuff. I'm telling you guys, the TDD guys are, the art guys are TDD all the way. Like, I can see it from a mile away. It happened to Dark Age of Camelot. You know, they get baseline stuns and all kinds of bards with instant mezzes, and we got Arthurians over here with like a little metal compass, man. So anyway, I'm just joking, but yeah, I like where we're going here. A little basic, but wanted to call it out. One interesting system, I guess you could call it, is it appears that there's some kind of monster ranking. If you played WoW, you would understand having rare mobs or elite mobs. It seems that the icons here are slightly different. So you have this skull without a mandible. The second, it has that mandible or that mouth section. The next, the icon has a couple of spikes on it. And then the third one is a very spiky mandibled skull. So not sure if we have even more tiers here, but from what we've seen now, there are 4 different tiers of monsters. I noticed in the video, again, this was consistent across all things, that they're all level 30. So I've been thinking about this more. I'm guessing is maybe the first 30 levels are PvE or something like that. I know a lot of people really want to be able to get right into PvP, so I don't know how that's going to work out and what the systems are going to look like. But at the same time, people need to acclimate to the game a little bit. You can't expect people to immediately log in and then just start doing anything. Some people are okay with that, especially those of us that I would be able to do that. But, my wife, if you expected her to just jump right in, I mean, it would just be, I think, completely unreasonable. But we'll see. Maybe some people like it. I think the game is focused a little bit towards a niche audience instead of mass market appeal for multiple reasons. But with the graphics I've seen and different things, I mean, just for looking at these images here, the graphics are definitely getting better. So if they get more time to cook, I think this could be really good. We'll have to see. So going on and moving to the next, just a basic feature I noticed when the Viking, I think Mjolnir was casting a spell, he was auto-facing. So I don't know if this is a toggleable thing or all characters when they're casting spells will face the targets, but seems like kind of a callback to Dark Age of Camelot, but you're not spamming that macro to find what direction somebody is. Kind of interesting. That was something you could do against subpar players in Dark Age, is run through them and different things like that. You obviously can't do that with collision, but you could move out of their line of sight easily. This maybe is going to remove that. Not 100% sure. Maybe there was some other thing and he was using another button to do this. So not 100% sure, but just saw it, wanted to call it out. Next, we have the different archetypes. So we did talk about heavy fighter. In this video, we saw the Mjolnir. I just took some pictures that I thought were pretty cool. Seems decent. I like this character. I'm playing Viking for sure, so I will probably play something like this. I'm not 100% sure. This seems like the only melee class you can play, and I do kind of like melee. Now, I do know the assassin is melee, but I don't know. I don't know how much group utility they have. They seem a little squishier. Probably not my cup of tea on the first. I'll probably end up trying to play every class, actually. I mean, that's what I did in Dark Age, so yeah, we'll see. Moving on to the next, we have the assassin archetype. So we saw assassins that appeared to be available for all the different realms. I noticed that the TDD one was named RC at the end of their name, and someone had mentioned Red Cap previously, so I think that might be the Red Cap, not 100% sure. And then we have a couple of the other just basic models and things like that. So just calling out some of that stuff. Yeah, we saw the Yggdra forest in this section. The overall quality of the clips were a little low in my opinion, but it wasn't too bad. The mobs were kind of cool, and we got to see the Mjolnir here. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Hopefully they fix some of the the clipping. Travis did mention that they've already fixed some of that, so I'm not sure how accurate that is. We'll have to get in there and get a better idea of what's going on. We saw some more of the Silvermine Forest region. Really loved some of the textures here and the high resolution imagery, like really good stuff. Almost some of the items almost look wet. It was very cool. We also saw Silvermine Mountains, so just some more of those mushrooms. We saw that in the previous video, and then another zone. I'm really loving the art here. Anybody that says the art is, looks like Dark Age, I mean, this is wrong, I think. So anyway, moving on, they added a couple of new mob models, so I wanted to call those out here. We have the Troll Lords. There was the Frost Bear, really cool with those horns. It almost looks like infected by something. Very cool. Then there is the Great Polar Bear, having himself a Coca-Cola. Pretty basic model on this one, but still kind of cool. I like how he raises his paw up there and pulls it back, gives it a little bit of life. We'll move on. We saw some swamp zombies. We did see zombies in the last video. I noticed just quickly on this one that the different camps had different models, so I don't know if these were just updated. You'll notice that the ones in the mountain area have pickaxes, while the ones in the forest area had maces. So I think this, in Dark Age, this did matter. The interaction between, say, chainmail and the different realms chainmail actually had different effects on the damage type that was happening. So slash, crush, all that kind of stuff actually did have an impact there. So I'm not 100% sure. Kind of a cool idea that if there is that interaction going on, that the different mob camps might actually have an impact on how much damage you're going to take and that kind of stuff. There was also the Void Elementals, thought were cool. And then there was another elemental type that they played. I'm not sure if these are water or lightning. We could not see them very well. There was so much fog and low texture, you couldn't get a good idea. But seems like there's a couple more mob types that we haven't seen yet either. And then there was an updated guard model for the TDD. I thought these actually looked really good. I will say the faces contrast a little bit with the higher quality of the gear and things like that. So yeah, I think maybe the models for these guys could use a little bit of an update. But yeah, overall, I think it looks really good, actually. So the main theme for this video was the veil mechanics. They had them run through on the different characters, like I mentioned with the assassins. So they just, played a little bit there. You can enter the veil. It uses a certain amount of determination, and then it also drains the determination over time. And then there were certain abilities that you could use that would receive augmentations or benefits if you were in the veil while using them. So that's kind of cool. I don't think that this is finalized. When we saw it, it was kind of like you were underwater a little bit, but then the water was more just right in front of you, and then around you, everything was just kind of gray. So yeah, I think they're experimenting here, just trying to get kind of an idea of what's going on. Moving on to the next slide, I did kind of notice, like I said, that it's more of like a cone in front of you, that it augments your vision a little bit. So it messes with the nameplates and the vision and just all that kind of stuff. On the next slide, I did notice that the two characters were fighting, and then he uses some kind of stealth ability. He breaks out of the veil, and then he loses sight of the character. So it seems like characters in the veil can see each other, but if there's a character in the veil, people in the regular zones cannot see them. So seems like a form of stealth. I'm not 100% sure, because I've seen 2 or 3 different kinds of stealth actually, and not 100% clear on it. It kind of looked like some kind of proximity camouflage, but maybe that was the veil. I'm not sure. And then, this character was in the veil. He breaks out, but then he has this kind of augmented stealth on him. So yeah, kind of like 3 different mechanics happening there. Would love to get my hands on this so I could actually tell you, but yeah, a little bit of confusion here, a little bit of interplay. And then finally, I did notice, just another edge case that was interesting. The TDD character attacks the Viking character with a poison strike, and then the Viking character is actually already dead, but it doesn't break the other one out of the veil. So it seems like characters in the veil can attack each other. It will not pull you out. If you use an ability to get pulled out, it will. So I think that's maybe what we're looking at, and we'll just have to see as we go forward. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think this is a pretty early mock-up. And then the last thing is we kind of got our first look at Aggro Radius. I noticed somewhere between 35 and 45 the different mobs would aggro. Here in this example, around 35 the troll aggros. But when you're looking previously at the Void Elemental, it aggroed around 45-ish, I think. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure here if there is, it's mob type or the level of the monster, or there's just some other extraneous factor that's impacting it. So yeah, kind of interesting. That was basically it from the video. I did want to walk through just quickly some of the different issues that I saw. First you had the foliage that was popping in and out for the textures, and also just the static textures by themselves of the foliage was kind of low. It's kind of stringy, and I think just it's a product of trying to keep the resolution higher for the players and things like that. But yeah, just it's a lower quality resolution for those different objects. So yeah, not 100% sure if those are going to be improved, but I hope so. I think it's going to be hard to market the game if you have those textures popping in and things like that. I have seen improvements on that, so don't want to not give credit where it's due, but just it was in the video, so it needs to be called out, I think. Notice just a lot of general issues with the mobs, like their idle animations, the way they collide with each other. Their AI seems a little dumb, like they'll run around each other, they'll run back and forth. There's just a couple of different things. And the player models are okay. I don't think that they're terrible, but I did see a little bit of jerking, especially when there were side to side strafings going on. You get a little bit of a jerk sometimes. The shadows are still incrementing every 10 to 15 seconds with like a just a forward motion. Doesn't look great. Then the spells and ability textures are still really low, and I'm not 100% sure on this one. I think they can update these over time. They're probably like one of the last things they'll do. These same people are probably having to populate the zones. They're having to handcraft these things. I'm sure there's a tremendous amount of work, and they're like, we got working animations. We're going to do that at the very end because it works for right now. And if we have to release, we'll go. So yeah, I understand. I know that feeling. So anyway, and then again, there was one other instance where one of the, not mobs, but the Arthurian characters were running around and they were really low FPS. But it was just their model. So and I don't know if this is a setting that one of the other players had, or it's a bug or what's going on. But I mean, the TDD character and the Arthurian character were pretty close to each other. And this guy was just running he just looked like he was in a slideshow. So not really sure what that was happening. I mean, really, it was like less than 1 frame per second. He would like kind of like a robot or something like that. So anyway, but yeah, that was basically the video. I had played a couple of clips throughout the video just on top of everything. I'd recommend going and checking it out if you're interested. The music is so much better. The team did such a great job when it comes to the overall production value of this video. So much better than hearing MJ's clicks and things like that. So, thank you so much to the team. You guys have been taking a lot of the feedback that we've all had. You guys have been engaged in the Discord and things like that. So really appreciate it. Been good. So anyway, looking forward to some of those developer questions that are coming out. Looking forward to play testing. Looking forward to actually getting in here, and looking forward to checking out some of the more detailed systems, the economy, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Have a good one. Bye.